1, 2. Oh, goody. 1, 2. Wow, we're getting a lot of sound. Good. Hi guys, Matt Lemke here with Through Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com, and I'm with Chris Pond from across the sea. And we are, it doesn't say it. We're at the Warcradle Studios booth, and we're going to talk about all things Wild West Exodus, Uncharted Seas, and Firestorm Armada. Maybe not in that order. But anyway, hi Chris, how you doing?
Very well indeed.
So I saw you were playing Uncharted Seas.
Dystopian Wars.
Oh, that was Dystopian.
That's Dystopian Wars.
That's why the models looked a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dystopian Wars is slated for late this year, early next year?
Yep, hopefully.
And that explains why they had different dice than I was used to seeing.
That's right.
And which two factions do you have represented here?
So that's the Covenant of the Enlightened versus the Union of Federated States.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, all of your games are going to kind of tie into the same universe.
Not all of them, but the dystopian age covers Dystopian Wars, Wild West Exodus, and Lost World Exodus currently, which is the new game we kind of announced very recently.
I totally missed that. We'll talk about that too. So on its release, what factions are going to be made available pretty quickly?
For Dystopian Wars, it's going to be all 8. There'll either be all 8 factions are going to be out together, or it'll be 4 in month 1, 4 in month 2, depending on how production goes.
Okay, excellent. And what is your actual job? So
I'm the assistant studio manager, so I run the studio on a day-to-day basis and get involved in the creative process for all the games that we make.
So you do a lot of rules work?
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of artwork?
I don't draw anything, but I give briefs to our artists and sculptors.
So, in part, the whole game world is kind of your vision?
Well, certainly, as part of a team, most of it's myself and Stuart who write the backgrounds and the rules and develop how the game progresses and the direction that it takes, certainly. But we are quite a big studio, and everybody has a role to play in how that builds, and we have a lot of discussions and we talk through the changes to any of the backgrounds or any of the rules as we're building and progressing the games. And so there's a little bit of everybody in every game we make.
Okay. And what was your favorite part of working on Dystopian Wars?
That's a difficult question. It's been really, really interesting to see the evolution of the rules and how we've kind of gone backwards and forwards on a number of different rules on a number of different occasions, and we've play tested it through and we've talked it through. But then when we get the feedback from customers, we think that's really interesting because I'd not looked at it from that perspective before. And actually, once you open it out to a whole community of gamers, you start to see things that you never see, no matter how many times you play test it in the studio or how many times you work it through, because you're always working from an assumption based on why you've written that rule. So when you're making an assumption based on the initial conversations you've had, you're always going to view it from that way. And what we need with the bigger community doing beta testing is somebody who wants to break the rule, somebody who just wants to ruin it and destroy it and pull it apart and abuse it, and then it'll come back to us as a broken husk of a thing, and we have to put that back into shape. So that process we went through. I think we're on the 12th iteration of the beta rules now, so there's been a huge amount of changes and development in just the core rules of the game, which has been fascinating to work through.
What was probably the largest change?
For me, one of the biggest things has been the way the SRS tokens, the fighters and bombers, how they work, and getting a streamlined and intuitive rule in place that also represents how they would act in reality. So actually they're going to be slower than a shell being fired from a gun, but they need to also be able to cover extended range. So working on those rules and how you're able to keep your bombers back kind of on your card from turn to turn and then put them down anywhere on the board on a long range sortie is, for me, that development and that kind of process was quite interesting, how we got to that point.
Okay, so let's move to Lost World Exodus. What's the setting? What is this game all about?
So Lost World Exodus is really bridging the gap between the Dystopian Wars kind of factions and Wild West Exodus as a game. So it's using the Wild West Exodus rule set. It's using 35mm skirmish miniatures, but it's using all the Dystopian Wars factions. The short version is Antarctica was the crash site of a Watcher ship, and that's the vaults that the Enlightened have used to get all their secrets, all their technology, or some of their technology, that they're now using and selling and abusing throughout the world. And all the other factions have now discovered that this ship is there. Once they've broken into the internal landmass of Antarctica, they found that it's been terraformed by this ship that's crashed into this beautiful, lush, tropical paradise. And so you've got a real Victorian kind of steampunk, Victoriana, Lost World vibe to the setting. And you've got all the dystopian age or the dystopian wars factions. You've got Prussians, you've got Russians, you've got the Union, you've got the Crown, you've got the Ottoman Sultanate, the Enlightened are in there, the Celestian Empire. So you've got all these different factions who are now fighting over the resources and the technology, and trying to take it back to their own nation to give them the edge in the wider world.
And obviously then they're going to be able to cross over.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can do campaigns that involve Dystopian Wars and Lost World Exodus.
Yeah, I got an email this morning about a campaign. What's that about?
That's Wild West Exodus. So we've got a new campaign that's going to determine what the Christmas miniature for this year is going to be.
Oh.
So people are getting clues to find out. There's been a train heist. A posse of outlaws has stolen a massive cache of RJ 1027. People need to try and find that to either bring it back to the Union or to sell it to the highest bidder. And whoever gets the most amount of clues throughout the campaign, whichever faction generates the most amount of clues, that faction will be the faction that the festive miniature gets made from.
Okay, excellent. And then let's see here. Let's talk Uncharted Seas.
Okay, Uncharted Seas. Uncharted Seas, it's a popular game. It's been out of production for many years now.
What, 5, 6,
more than
7?
that, I think. Yeah. So
a while.
It's something that we have started doing some work on it.
But it's still a ways away.
It is a way away. Yeah.
Firestorm Armada is going to be first?
Yes. Firestorm Armada is going to be first because there are still people playing it now. There's a lot more people playing it than Uncharted Seas, and there are some amazing concepts and sculpts that we want to try and kind of use as inspiration for the new Firestorm Armada.
You're not at liberty to say how anything's going to change yet, are you?
There are going to be a lot more changes to the new Firestorm Armada than there are to the new Dystopian Wars.
Are you going to keep all the original factions, or are you modifying it more for like a futuristic version of the Exodus line?
No. It's not going to be set in the same universe. It's not going to be an extended future of the dystopian age. It's going to be very, very different and very separate.
I don't know. Watcher ships would be pretty cool.
They would be pretty cool, but no, we're unlikely to see Watcher ships in Firestorm Armada, unfortunately.
That's a bummer. All right. Okay. You guys got Planetfall too, right?
We do, yes.
And that's even farther down the line.
Yeah, that's more on the back burner. Yeah.
Okay.
And essentially, what we did is, we looked at all the sales data that we'd received from Spartan Games to see actually where all the sales were going. Dystopian Wars were a huge chunk of their sales, so that's why we've focused on that first, because we know there's a massive community. There are a lot of people out there who love the setting and love the game itself and love the naval combat aspect of it, So that's why we decided to go with Dystopian Wars first and then Firestorm Armada next. So we're kind of doing it in order of popularity.
And the game that brought me to you guys, let's talk Wild West Exodus now.
Yep.
So you've got two new factions, or 2 new box sets this month, right?
Yep.
And that would be the Cowboys.
Yep.
And the Regulators.
Yeah, well, Regulators were last month.
Oh.
Cowboys are this month. So we've got 2 really interesting mercenary outlaw posses who have got some excellent characters in. There are some existing characters that have had some tweaks to the sculpt, so they're slightly different now. And we've got some new characters in there also. So it's a great opportunity to pick up some really interesting outlaws.
All right, what's your go-to faction?
Me, Lawman.
Oh, interesting. It's kind of what I play right now. I don't know if that's what I'm sticking with, but that's kind of what I play.
But I've been creeping into Watchers more and more lately.
No.
Mainly because I've seen what's coming up.
I kind of want to grab the Forlorn.
Yep.
I just something about, playing Custer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a great character. He really is.
Oh, there's so many great characters.
There are.
So, what's coming out down the road between now and Christmas for Wild West Exodus?
Well, again, we've got more posse sets. Some of it's been, we've had sneak previews of some of the bits that you will have seen on the Dark Council Facebook page, and also the Warcradle Facebook page, where we do sneak peeks for things. I can't say exactly what's coming out.
Lies.
But yeah, we're good. No matter what happens with Dystopian Wars, Lost World Exodus, Wild West Exodus will still have new releases, so it's not going to fall by the wayside regardless of what else we're bringing out.
Anything else you want to add?
No, at the moment I think we've covered most of it.
I'll add this real quick. If you guys like Wild West Exodus or any of the games, just Google Warhost Council and join and hit your local shop and volunteer.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
That's good. Hi, guys. Meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in a link below, and my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know, you're not going to go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.